that bounce they're looking for.
It's the Pirates and the Cubs on NBC Sports Chicago, home of the authentic fan. The Cubs remaining in first place by a half game, and last night they clinched a playoff spot for the 4th consecutive season. Great to have you with us tonight. Biggest game of the year. We've been saying that a lot, Jim DeShays and Len Kasper, but truly the case because Milwaukee is off tonight. If the Cubs win, there'll be a game up going into the final series. And man, what a pitching matchup we have on tap.
We have a dandy here for you tonight. Trevor Williams will go for the Pittsburgh Pirates. John Lester will work for the Cubs. They've both been really good of late. We take a look at their September numbers. Williams is 3-0 with a 1.52. Turn the clock back to the end of July. He's got a 1.00 ERA over his last 12 starts, best ERA in Major League Baseball since the All-Star break. Big John's been really good lately as well. 3-1 with a .190 over his last 4. This will be his 6th start against the Pirates this year.
Final game of the season series. It is tied at 9 games apiece. John Lester looks for his 18th win in his final start of the regular season. Trevor Williams has been great here in the second half. We've got a great matchup. We've got a big ball game. It's all coming up on NBC Sports Chicago.
who encourages you to experience amazing. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois. Through it all. Ford, who invites you to go further in their fuel-efficient vehicles. Check out our entire lineup at your local Ford store or buyfordnow.com. Menards, save big money at Menards. And by Southwest Airlines. Low fares, no hidden fees. That's transparency.
John Lester is ready to work. Got out there early, and he will face Pablo Reyes to start the ball game. And the first pitch is a fastball for a strike.
You know what John is? He's the Lexus Experience Amazing starting pitcher tonight. He's starting for the 32nd time. He's 17-6 with a 3.43 earned run average.
Ahead 0-2 on Reyes.
Backdoor cutter there. He features that pitch a lot. Fastball, he'll sink it. He'll also throw four seamers, curveball, and a change round out the repertoire for the veteran left-hander.
His 0-2 is chopped to the shortstop. Backhanded play. Baez safe at first as the throw took Rizzo off the bag, and he wasn't able to corral it anyway. Should be an infield hit, I'm guessing, because that was not an easy play for Baez.
No, I would think base hit, do or die kind of play.
It is a single, and here's the rest of the Pirates Southwest starting lineup. Few changes tonight. Marte, Bell, Cervelli, Osuna homered last night. Harrison, Moran, and Mercer getting their lone starts in the series, and the pitcher Williams batting ninth. Here is Marte who had a game-tying two-run double in the ninth last night. And he takes outside for ball one.
A hurried throw necessitated by the hustle from Reyes. Infield knock to get started. He's intent on pounding away at that outside corner. Marte, 8 out of 36 lifetime against Leicester. That's a .222 batting average.
Pirates have been tough. They've won 2 of the first 3. They have the best intra-divisional record in the Central at 41-31, 3-0 on Marte. Season series tied in 9 games apiece, and the Pirates won 12 of 19 against Milwaukee. Very short lead by Reyes. And John's 3-0 is off the corner, and the Pirates have 2 on with nobody out.
Let's set the Cubs defensively. It's brought to you by BP, and it looks like this. Schwarber left, Happ center. Zobrist plays right tonight after getting the night off last night. Bodie and Baez third short. Murphy and Rizzo right side of the infield. Contreras is the signal caller tonight.
Veteran crew, it's Jim Wolf behind the plate. Marquez, Rayburn, and the crew chief Holbrook on the bases. Early trouble for Leicester, first and second, nobody out. And the pitch to Josh Bell is taken inside. 5 consecutive balls. 68 degrees. We've got a south wind, so it's blowing out toward left or center, kind of shifting a lot, but it's blowing out. There's a strike, 1-1.
John has had success this year despite a much lower ground ball rate. More balls in the air than you typically see from him. 6-4 with a 3.96 ERA here in his home ballpark. 11-2 with a 287 on the road.
Bell, a patient hitter. He has walked 4 times in this series.
Yeah, you'd love to get Bell here and not have to deal with Cervelli with the bases loaded, who's been absolutely locked in against the Cubs this year.
See John with a first, only left-hander with 30 starts in his first 4 years as a Cub. There's 2-2 on Bell.
Well, it's 11 consecutive years for John making at least 30 starts. He's the only active pitcher that can make that claim in all of Major League Baseball. He's been remarkably durable and really, really good. 176 wins against 98 losses in his career with a lifetime ERA of 3.51.
Off the corner, it's full. He's probably pitched in more, quote, big games than anybody currently. With all the playoff seasons he's been involved in 3 World Series rings. So you never worry about the moment getting to him. Big pitch though here in the first inning, the 3-2, and Bell with an emergency hack, able to spoil it.
John, with 21 career postseason starts, 25 appearances overall, 9-7 with a .255 in the postseason. He's got a 1.77 World Series ERA.
He's pitched in 8 different postseasons. In the air, coming over is Ian Happ, and he makes the grab, and Reyes will hold. Great throw to Bodie, and a big first out for John.
Yeah, good at bat there by Bell. Pirates making John work here in the first, put a pretty good swing on it, but Happ settles underneath.
That brings up Francisco Cervelli, who has had quite a series. 4 for 9, 2 doubles, a homer, a walk, 4 knocked in.
He's hitting .400 against the Cubs this year, .385 in this ballpark. He's been on everything.
Initial pitch is outside.
So John, as I mentioned in our open, he's making his 6th start against the Pirates, one in every calendar month of the season. He's like the jelly of the month club. Faced him in April, May, June, July, August, and now September. He's the left-hander of the month.
1-1 the count. Do you get a
jelly of the month? I do not.
And a strawberry jam. And taking his time with 2 on. 1-1 curve missed away.
Needs to reset the sights a little bit. Continues to miss off that outside edge, and obviously the way Cervelli's been swinging it, you don't want to throw it over the heart of the plate.
Ready for 2-1. 2-2. Cervelli questioning Jim Wolf.
Fastball with a little cutting action. Maybe a little bit off the outside edge, but he hit his spot. Contreras gave Wolf a good look at it.
Jose Osuna on deck. 2 on, 1 out. 2-2. Low. Blocked by Contreras. Again, the Brewers are off tonight. The Cardinals are off as well. St. Louis will be in town starting tomorrow afternoon. The 3 games to finish the regular season. Milwaukee will host the Detroit Tigers starting tomorrow night. NL West still to be determined. NL Central as well. And the wild card spots. Or at least one of those, as the Cubs and Brewers are in. One of those teams will end up in the wild card.
Yeah, both the Cubs and Brewers guaranteed a spot in the postseason. I don't think many of the Cub players realize that. at the end of the night last night that they had secured a playoff position, but indeed they have for the 4th consecutive year.
Rockies just swept the Phillies, beat them earlier today. Runners take off and the bases are loaded. Cervelli draws the walk. It's almost as if Cervelli sees the pitch before it's thrown. He has been pretty locked in this week. And now everyone on the infield will end up on the mound. That was in game 1 against Cole Hamels, the very first inning. And this one last night.
Yeah, and the hitter's locked in. He's seeing it well. He's not going to be jumping at the ball, not going to be overly anxious. Willing to accept his walk.
Now Osuna. He hit a first inning homer off Jose Quintana in game 3. He's playing right field tonight. Jordan Luplow had an emergency appendectomy, so he is not available. The 1-0 pitch. Got the call on the outside.
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, you throw one about 4 inches off the outside corner, and all of a sudden the one that's 2 inches off the corner looks a little more strike-ish to the home plate umpire, and that appears to be John's MO here tonight.
This will be pitch number 23. First, he steps off. Chris Bryant for the Cubs still day-to-day with the left wrist bruise, possibly available off the bench later. 2-1. John's got the hockey beard working. I asked him the other day, any significance? Said nope, just letting it go. Strike 2. Reyes at third, Marte at second, Cervelli at first. And the 2-2 to Osuna. Swing and a miss. Big strikeout for Lester. 2 gone. It will bring up Josh Harrison.
He sticks to his guns, doesn't he? I say it all the time. He's stubborn, and I mean that in a very good way out there on the mound. He just does not want to give in. And for very few pitches over the white part of that plate, he's going to work the edges. He threw one inner third and down, and that whole sequence to Osuna went back out away and got the swing and miss.
So a couple of veteran guys seeing their only action of the series tonight in starting roles. Josh Harrison and Jordy Mercer. A double play combination. Both guys expected to be elsewhere next season. Only the 5th start this month for Harrison, who cuts and misses.
Yeah, he's had just 16 at-bats here in September, hitting a .188. Difficult for him to feel like he's got any rhythm at the home plate right now. Lester and Contreras having a conversation. Looked like they had some issues with the signs, and we'll make sure they're on the same page here.
So 2 first inning visits. And the 0-1. Hit on the ground. Baez has it. And Lester escapes. First 2 reached. They loaded him with 1 out. Don't forget this inning later on. Cubs coming up. last night. Just what the doctor ordered. Murphy, Zobrist, Rizzo, 1, 2, 3. Baez, Schwarber, Happ, 4, 5, 6. Contreras, Lester, Bodie, 7, 8, 9.
The Pittsburghers defensively, Pablo Reyes plays left, Marte center, Osuna. He moves all over. We'll find him in right tonight. Moran and Mercer third short. Harrison Bell second first. Cervelli is behind the plate. And that's brought to you by BP, the Lexus Experience amazing starting pitcher. With an emphasis on amazing is Trevor Williams. My goodness, what a role this guy has been on. 30 starts, he's 14-9 with a 3.04 ERA. That's good for seventh best in the league. But going back to July 11th, he has an ERA right at 1. That's tops in Major League Baseball. Fastball, slider, changeup are his weapons. You know, he can touch 96, but he typically throws, sits right around 90, 92. He'll change speeds with his fastball. He'll sink it. He'll elevate it.
Daniel Murphy will lead it off. And there's a strike on the heater.
It's one of those invisible. It's kind of a short arm delivery. And you'll see the fastball at 90, 91, and guys will be popping it up or will be late on it. There's the changeup.
The leadoff man is presented by Benny's Beverage Depot. If Murphy gets a hit, Benny's will donate $100 to the Greater Chicago Food Depository. Able to foul it off after a brief downturn. Murphy hitting .371 over his last 9 games. The wind and the pitch. Another foul. Williams went to the same high school as Cole Hamels. Rancho Bernardo High in San Diego. Originally drafted by the Marlins out of Arizona State in 2013. Driven to left, not deep. Reyes will make the grab for the out.
This is the Cubs' third look at Williams this year. Previous 2, he pitched very well back in April. 6 innings, a 1-run ball, and a 6-1 win for the Pirates. And then August 17th in Pittsburgh, he went 7 innings, allowed 1, but got beat 1-0. The Cubs had that run of consecutive games with just a solo home run. On that occasion, it was good enough to win.
Ben Zobrist tied for 3rd in the NL in hitting at .310. Christian Yelich, .321. Scooter Gennett, .313. Zobrist and Lorenzo Cain at .310. Fair ball. Zobrist tried for second. Here comes the throw. It's late. It's a double.
Fresh legs after a night off. Zobrist gets on top of that pitch. It's a right down the line past Josh Bell, who's not the most cat-like defender down there. And it's a 2-base knock for Zo.
A 4D look. And the batter is Anthony Rizzo, who has been on base in 9 of his last 18 turns. First pitch strike. Nine of Williams' starts have ended in shutouts. He's had 10 starts of 6 innings and no runs. Actually, he's done the Cubs a favor here this month. He has beaten Milwaukee. each of his last 2 starts.
A 108 ERA since the All-Star break is a Pirate record.
Pops into center field, and Marte will haul it in. Zobrist will stay at second.
They started playing the All-Star game in 1933. It was 108 ERA. Post-break, as I mentioned, best in Pirates history and 4th lowest ever behind Jake Arrieta. Remember what he did in 2015. Jake had an 075 that year. Chris Medlin had an 094 with the Braves in 2012, and Roger Clemens had an 097 with the Red Sox in 1990. Williams, I would say, more Medlin-like in that, you know, Clemens and Arrieta just dominating stuff. That's not the case with Williams. It's command, deception.
Javier Baez swings and misses.
And just a good old-fashioned pitchability. Knows what he's doing out there.
Zobrist doubled with 1 out. Pirates stranded the bases loaded in the top of the 1st. Excellent escape by John Lester. Here comes the 0-1. A little low. And still filing into the ballpark in the bottom of the 1st. Strike called. Zobrist able to get back to second. 1-2 to Baez. Javi thought it was outside, and I think he looked over at Joe Madden to say something.
Cervelli was outside. He drifted over the outside edge to frame that pitch. And according to our pitch cast, it was a good pitch.
1-2, bounce to third. Moran has it. After 1, scoreless from Wrigley.
Welcome back, everybody. We've played an inning. We're scoreless. Don't miss your chance to experience spring training at beautiful Sloan Park in Mesa, Arizona. Reserve your place in line by joining the spring training season ticket holder waiting list. It's easy and it's free to register. SloanPark.com for details.
John had to labor through the first 27 pitches, but he did not give up a run. 1 ball, no strikes on Colin Moran, left-handed hitting third baseman. Mercer and then the pitcher Williams to follow. Off the outside.
Moran just a $172 against left-handed pitching this year. He has not homered against a left-handed pitcher.
Well, this speaks to a little bit of what we talked about when the Cubs got Cole Hamels. There were some who wondered, can you go with a 4 lefty out of 5 rotation? But with all lefties in this series, I think there was a point where Clint Hurl said, I got to give Moran a start.
Yeah, you guys.
It wasn't a favorable matchup.
Yeah, yep. You got to keep your guys engaged. Just shut them down for 3 or 4 days. Tough for them to get back into the flow when they face live pitching. Dickerson is not in the lineup tonight. Frazier, another left-handed batter, also not in the lineup tonight. If Moran aspires to be an everyday big leaguer, he's going to have to compete a little better against left-handed pitching.
Well, he gets a hold of one and will send Schwarber into the left field corner. Well, I think in some cases, not all, but it is a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy in that you come to the big league, especially a left-handed hitter. You know, you go 1 for your first 25 against a left-handed pitcher, and then your manager says, well, he's a platoon player. And then you just don't get enough at bats.
Right.
I think what happened with Anthony Rizzo is just he was in there every day and eventually made those adjustments.
Yeah, absolutely.
Veteran Jordy Mercer has his 3rd most plate appearances against Lester in his career. He's hit .281 against John with a home run. He was due to be a free agent. Nothing in 2.
John has not dominated left-handed hitters this year. Coming into this start, they were batting .277 against him with an .875 OPS. These are the highest numbers posted by left-handed batters against John, essentially in his career, other than his very first brief big league time with the Red Sox in '06.
That'll be caught by Murphy. Ryan Sandberg's favorite restaurant in Chicago is the legendary Harry Carey's Italian Steakhouse. Go where Rhino goes for Chicago's best prime steaks in River North, Rosemont, or Lombard. For reservations, call 773-HOLY-COW or visit harrycareys.com. The pitcher Williams, 5 out of 42. That's a 119 average. And he takes low. Ball 1.
First pitch changeup from John to his opposing number. Is his opposing number. They both wear number 34.
Cubs social media night tonight. Bounced past the mound and ranging to his glove side Baez, and he'll make the play. Ran at third, 2 outs.
Trying to give the left side of the infield a little heads up that something might be coming their way with that cutter in. Thought maybe it might be pulled on the ground towards Bodie.
Reyes with an infield hit to open the ball game. His 5th hit of the series. Outside for a ball. On social media night, it's always a lot of fun. Gets people engaged on all the different platforms. And I can envision down the road, JD, in about 4 or 5 years, if that far, where every night's basically social media night. We'll have a night here where you're not allowed to use
Throw
your
back
devices.
the clock night. No social media allowed.
Pencil and scorecard night. There's a 1-1. 2 balls and a strike.
That's a sense that Wilson's always energetic, but he looks a little over caffeinated tonight, man. He's really animated back there with his actions behind the plate.
Swing by Reyes. And it's 2-2.
This has been impressive in this series. He's been impressive since coming to the big leagues. Had good numbers down at AAA. Guys with a little bit of power, a little bit of speed.
Mentioned John doesn't give in often, so with a couple bases open, you would not even expect him to give in against a rookie here. Reyes, will see if he has 3-2 anxiety, and will go after a pitch out of the zone.
Yeah, he's so far, and again, it's a pretty small sample at the big league level for Reyes, but he has shown patience. He's been willing to take a walk. We'll see what happens here with a man on third base. Awkward swing at the high fastball. Last time out, John faced the White Sox. It was an 8-3 winner. 5 innings, 8 hits, 3 runs, a couple earned. He did not walk a man. Cubs are 23-8 in his 31 starts. A change piece.
Another 3-2. Picked up by Bodie. Pirates have stranded 4 through 2 innings. We're still scoreless early.
the clubhouse this afternoon. As nerve-wracking as these games will be for fans, these guys say they're enjoying it. This is what September baseball is all about. Their eyes on that division title. Even though they clinched the wild card, a few of these have been through that game before. Kyle Schwarber says it'll take years off your life. So tonight is the biggest game for them, as cliche as that sounds. So also the thought behind not celebrating last night was the fact that they have more to do. But my teammate Doug Glanville has some thoughts on that, I know.
Yeah, I mean, I just think back to 2003, and first of all, that ended up being the only time I would make the postseason in my major league career. So it was great to be able to celebrate every step, every milestone. And of course, part of that is forward-looking, where you're going, but part of it is also recognizing how you got there. And a lot of times there's so many mentors, so many people along the way that made sacrifices and the time away from your family, that I always enjoyed capturing every moment. And I appreciated that about 03. You know, I know it's business as usual, and the Cubs have had a lot of success the last few years. So they're looking at it as, okay, I don't want people to think that we're complacent and we're not looking as World Series as our ultimate goal. But I think along the way, it was great to just stop it for a moment and say, hey, you made the postseason at a major league level, and this is an incredible accomplishment.
Great stuff, Kelly. Doug?
Yeah, and I think a lot of it is just a lot of guys didn't realize they clinched the playoff spot. I was talking to Joe today. He was lamenting the fact that they didn't celebrate last night.
High and deep, and drops.
Oh my!
What happened there? Who knows? But Schwarber will end up with a single. He probably should have ended up at second base, but Marte let that ball drop right in front of him. I don't know if he didn't see it or if he was peeling off, thinking Osuna was going to catch it. That was weird.
Yeah, this is really funky here. You can't blame it on the bright sky overhead. It's a night game, and Marte, I don't know. Maybe some fan out there was calling it, and Marte thought it was Osuna. Who knows?
I mean, that was strange because he didn't look to his left. You know, it wasn't. You know, usually if you get confused with the other outfielder, you stare at him.
There's a base hit. Schwarber will hold it second, so the Cubs have 2 on with nobody out.
They usually take a moment to look, and that's where you see the confusion. Oh, I'm looking at him, but he was looking straight ahead the whole time, almost like he was just playing it on the hop or something. But
he called a fair catch, and he didn't want to muff the punt.
Right, he literally just backed up, and then, you know, as an outfielder, eye contact, it tells a lot of the story. So you watch where he's looking. And he's, you know, obviously got plenty of time to get behind this ball. But you don't see Marte really looking that often. He just sort of backs away, and that ball almost hit him. So, you know, clearly a complete breakdown there, and the Cubs now creates a great opportunity for them.
Cervelli will chat with his pitcher before Contreras bats. Lester is now on deck. Great opportunity here in the bottom of the second. I think just the other part of it is the center fielder always takes charge.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're waiting for a corner outfielder to maybe back off, right?
Well, absolutely. I mean, that's your role. And there's circumstances where you defer and you recognize that this player has a better angle, left fielder or right fielder. But just the way he backed off with such a distance showed a lot of confusion on that play.
Fastball strike. Cubs now with 3 hits. Pirates have 2. Williams home, swing and a miss.
Williams unpredictable in terms of fastball location. That's part of the reason why he's been so good. He throws it a lot. He throws his fastball as much as anybody in the game. 70% of the time, 75% of the time first pitch. So he is predictable in what he throws, but where he throws it and how he throws it changes.
He just struck out Contreras. That's his first punch out. Xfinity X1 customers say, show me the Chicago Cubs into your X1 voice remote and get live team stats on your TV. Change the way you experience TV with Xfinity X1. Now he is getting swings and misses here early, JD, that look like swings you would get on 96 to 98.
Yeah, it's I think there's a lot of spin on the four-seam fastball. There's some deception. Dan Wheeler comes to mind. Remember Dan Wheeler?
I do.
Relief pitcher, and Wheeler threw that invisible.
Wayne Stat's son-in-law.
Yeah.
Well, it seemed like, guys, the cutter, it's a cutting action, and a lot of that late break is very late. It's almost on top of you by the time you've already committed to where you think the ball is going to be, and he takes like a left turn towards first base.
John Went on appeal. Sam Holbrook made the call. It's 0-2. John has his good buddy John Lackey in attendance, sitting behind home plate watching tonight. Remember, they had a long running bet in terms of who would hit more home runs. Outside, 1-2. Welcome all our viewers watching on WTC. There's John and his wife Christina. Welcome all our viewers watching on WTC Communications in Wilton, Iowa. Those viewers on MLB Network, ESPN International, Fox Sports Singapore, and BT London.
Do you know how much I would contribute to get a shot of John Lackey just lighting up Jim Wolf, the home plate umpire tonight, from behind the netting?
That's low. It's 3-2. John is content in retirement. He's coaching Little League, or a 9-year-old team. I don't know if it's Little League. A level below that. But,
an outstanding career.
Yeah.
Great competitor.
(3-2) to Lester. Strike 3 called right down the middle. So after the first 2 reached, Williams has struck out Contreras and the pitcher Lester, and it'll bring up David Bodie.
15 big league seasons for John Lackey, 188 wins, 3.92 lifetime ERA.
Yeah, I think if the Cubs get into a brawl, Lackey will actually enter the field. That's my guess. I think he's just gonna just run out there in his golf hat.
Outside on David Bodie. Beautiful night. 68 degrees, wind blowing out. Not very hard. If you get it up in the air, it should carry. 1-1.
Yeah, Williams, interesting in that he has not been an extreme ground ball pitcher by any measure, maybe a little bit below league average, right around league average in terms of his ground ball rate, but he's kept the ball in the ballpark. Just 15 home runs allowed coming into this start. Good take on the changeup. So I talked about this 12-start run he's been on with an ERA of 1. 8 of those 12 starts, scoreless baseball for Williams. He's given up 4 runs over his last 5 starts, and they all came in 1 inning.
Bodie went around 2-2. So Doug, when a guy like Williams is in this kind of stretch as a hitter, are you looking at video of what he's done well, or are you trying to find the vulnerabilities?
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't seem to have a lot of vulnerabilities the second half, and you got to try to jump on some mistakes, and he's not making a whole lot of them. But as you pointed out, the movement is what's so impressive, and it goes both directions. You think about Kyle Hendricks, right? The multiple changeups. One has like a cutting action, one has a fade to it. Well, this fastball kind of acts the same way. And you know, when you get the cut action, that's one, you have to stay on it longer. as a right-handed hitter, but then he also has that changeup that fades away from lefties. And combine that with different changes of speeds, very difficult to square him up.
Another 2-2 to Bodie, and that gets past Cervelli. Both runners advance. It'll be a wild pitch charged to Williams. And a 3-2 count on Bodie. Does that one feel like it's on Cervelli, JD? I thought he wanted it up anyway.
Yeah, I don't, you know, he's had some problems back there.
Yeah, see, he's setting up high as it is, so he's anticipating up.
My point of view was always, if you don't have to leave your feet, you should be able to catch it.
Pitchers. Foul ball! Cubs will get on the board first. Bodie around second. He's going to try for third. It's a triple. Another huge extra base hit for David Bodie.
Very clutchy on 3-2. Remember how this inning started, the misplay in the outfield. But with 2 outs, David Bodie rifles one right down the third base line to plate 2.
You know, and as you guys mentioned, I mean, a pitcher who's been this successful, you have to capitalize on mistakes. The misplay in the outfield, and there was a pitch right over the heart of the plate, which Bodie did not miss. So seizing the opportunities against a guy who's been this electric is exactly what the Cubs needed to pull off. Watch this pitch here as he turns it over. It's a changeup, and 3-2, he's trying to throw a strike, but really catches a lot of the plate. And Bodie does a nice job of staying on it. Look at his head position. Everything was through, so it gave him a large window so he was able to pull it, or if it's on the outer third, be able to take that up the middle or go to right field. So a very balanced approach by Bodie there, and really caught just enough of the line to put himself all the way at third base.
A visit from Justin Message, the acting pitching coach. So a 2-0 lead here in the second. Outside, ball 1. Bodie has had a nose for the big moment, hasn't he?
Yeah, what's that? 32 batted in for Bodie. Not that many plate appearances.
Nope, he just got hit on the deflection as that ball caromed off the backstop and hit him in the hip. Swing and a miss. It's 1-2.
When you look at the chart of where Williams is locating, I mean, he literally hits every quadrant of the strike zone. I mean, with every pitch, and it's a lot of plate coverage to consider with his range.
Tay coming in, and he makes a catch. That ball was dipping on him. It's a catch he didn't make that loomed large, and the Cubs were eventually able to turn it into 2 runs. 2-0 after 2.
today. Anthony Rizzo attempting to catch a foul ball in the bottom of the ninth last night. See him reaching into foul territory there behind the net. He thought he had it, but the ball comes up and that fan's hands right there. And for a lot of Cubs fans, it felt a little like deja vu. I think shades of Bartman, but Rizzo, such a pro, discussing the play after the game, saying it's just one of those weird plays, but all that matters is we won the game. So guys, Anthony Rizzo doing exactly what he should when talking about that play last night.
Thanks, Kelly.
Easier to take that point of view when you win.
Yes.
We always encourage the fans, defer to the player if you can. Understand the instinct.
Bodie throws in time to get Marte. Wind is kicked up, blowing out of the southwest straight out towards center.
Well, John could use a quick one. He's worked awfully hard through the first two, but he was posted a couple bagels.
Working to Bell. And the pitch is in tight. 4-1.
Pirate news, Jordan Luplow, who has played the outfield in this series, had an emergency appendectomy, so he's obviously not available. And they've shut Chris Archer down. He will not make another start this year.
Yeah, he's got groin discomfort.
He was awfully good the other night. Pirates pitching looks really good heading into next year.
Infielder Jung Ho Kang will be put on their active roster for the weekend series in Cincinnati. He hasn't played in a couple of years due to legal issues and injuries. Coming back from left wrist surgery. 2-2 to Bell. Nothing. Cubs lead on the David Bodie two-run triple. Bodie at third will flag this one down, but it's foul. Lester home on a 2-2, and it's full.
One of the things that make great pitchers great is the ability to compete and perform when they don't have their best command. And right now John's fighting it, still trying to lock in on that outside corner. He's thrown strike one to just 3 of the first 10 batters he faced here tonight.
Yeah, you can see he's talking to himself here, fighting it a little bit, and so far he's been able to survive. Batter now Cervelli.
Yeah, and a lot of times you'll hear from pitchers and other people evaluating a pitcher, and they'll say, well, he didn't have his best stuff. But for me, more times than not, it's not stuff, it's command that is lacking. You see a guy who normally throws 93 miles per hour, and he's throwing 93, and he'll come out after the game saying, I didn't have my best stuff. Well, maybe not, but a lot of times it's just the ability to locate. But that's the thing about John. He's not just going to start heaving the ball over the middle of the plate. Continues to try to make pitches, searching, probing, trying to lock in on that release point. Maybe go to plan B and start throwing a few more curveballs.
There's one. And it's a strike. It's 0-2. Right on cue.
That was a dandy.
Rizzo holds Bell. 1-2 count on the Pirate catcher. Pause before the 2-2, and he's full on Cervelli. Next time we see the Pittsburgh Pirates will be April 8th, 2019. That's a Monday, and it'll be the Cubs home opener. And it'll be 68 degrees with a south wind at 7 miles an hour. Right?
Shirt sleeves.
Bell runs and Cervelli fouls.
Bullpen's in pretty good shape. It's interesting. I was just looking back through my scorebook here. In the first 3 games of this series, the Cubs have made 18 moves to the bullpen. But most of those, a lot of those, have been abbreviated outings. A third of an inning here, 2/3 of an inning there. So everybody's still pretty fresh. Jesse Chavez worked 2 innings last night. He might be down tonight.
Bell takes off, swing and a miss, strike 3. So Cervelli is out, and Bell will be credited with a stolen base. It is his second.
Hey, the Cubs are introducing game-changing new premier experiences at Wrigley Field. Seats featuring prime views and access to an exclusive club. With first-class amenities, these new premier experiences will allow fans to enjoy Cubs baseball and America's most majestic ballpark in a whole new way. Visit CubsPremier.com to join the Premier Client Priority List.
Runner at second base. 2 outs. Lester now trying to finish the first 3 innings by stranding at least one in scoring position. Bases loaded in the first. Runner left at third in the second. And Bell out there at second base here in the third. Bodie with a nice late adjustment. And he throws in time. The ball kind of made a little bit of a turn on its way to David Bodie. He was going to backhand, and then he didn't. Stayed on his feet, and it's still 2-0 Cubs. In the third, leading 2-0. And Doug, we want to do a little comparison of the Cubs offense 2016 when they won the World Series, and 2018. What has happened so far? Obviously better in the first half than the second, as Ben Zobrist takes ball one.
Yeah, when you look at the two, you hear a lot about the offense. Oh, it's the inconsistency of these questions. But when you look at these broad-based numbers, there's some similarities. It's not so different between the championship team and this 2018 in this numbers count. In fact, they actually hit a little bit higher in the batting average category. You know, less power, runs per game a little bit down. On-base percentage, I think, was a big thing in 2016. They saw a lot of pitches. They had a lot of guys working counts. You know, Bryant, of course, was extremely sharp. But, you know, they're in the realm of offensively how they perform. The consistency is one of the questions, but the numbers actually show that the bottom line has been in the same framework. And then when you go on the pitching side, you know, you'll notice some differences. You know, the record, of course, was over 100 games in 2016. The ERA considerably higher in 2018, but the bullpen has been the anchor in 2018. So they actually had performed on an ERA level better than they did in 2016. So every team, when you have this much success over the last 4 years, has different personalities, different strengths, and you realize that there is a reason why they've been in the postseason so consistently, even though these teams have different elements to them as why that is to be true. And this team still has a lot of strengths to them.
Swing and a miss. Zobrist strikes out. One away here in the Cubs' third. I think the other thing we should point out too, JD, the Cubs have been a good defensive club this year. 2016, they may have had the best year this franchise has ever seen in catching the ball.
Yeah, and defense is always difficult to quantify, but when you watch a team play every day, you get a sense of, you know, what they do in terms of the athleticism, ground covered, positioning.
Think of all the things the Cubs did well, and they did just about everything well. That might have been tops on the list. And one of the reasons why that earned run average was as low as it was. As Rizzo gets a hold of one, Marte will make the catch. So Anthony lines out. That will bring up Javier Baez.
Yeah, when you look at Baez's last at bat, you see the positioning. This is such a great feature here. Has that big leg kick, and now his head position, he's trying to stay on it and can't quite get there. A little bit of pull off, and that little bit of pulling off with that front shoulder flying open to the third base side had him hit the end of the bat. And once you get off that sweet spot, you're inducing weaker contact. And most of the season, he's really found the barrel, which is part of his big success.
A strike on Baez.
And I noticed with Williams, it's almost, we used to talk about pitchers you face that have almost a joystick in their glove. And he has that late action where he's pushing it to the left, which gets you off of the barrel. You think you're on it, and all of a sudden it kind of cuts back.
Yeah, and that's why I think a lot of people are bullish on this Pirate Club next year, maybe taking a little bit of a step forward. Now, I think position player-wise, there's still some questions to be answered, and maybe a lot of that will be determined by how aggressive they are in the free agent market. But just in terms of the starting pitching, with this guy, Jameson Taillon, is turning into a star. Archer, solid. Nova will be back. He's a good, solid, middle of the rotation guy. They have a chance to be pretty good in the pitching department next year.
Yeah, they have a nice rotation. I mean, this is not a walk in the park to go up against the Pirates, especially the first half of the game.
3-1. Baez, Nova got a no decision last night. Only went 4 innings. 6 runs, 5 earned in his final start. Three and two.
You know, that's an example of how tough Williams is. I mean, he goes from a cutter that can cut away, and then he throws this 2-seam sinking fastball in a hitter's count that literally runs from the middle of the plate, almost hitting Baez, and gets him to swing over it. So you have a lot of range to cover with Williams, and it's really difficult as a hitter to cover it all.
Off the plate for ball 4. Kyle Schwarber will bat for the second time. Gift single and a run in the second inning. So high-speed action powered by Xfinity. A couple of homers for Schwarber against Williams. Off the knees for a strike.
Schwarber overall has still been able to maintain his discipline. Strong walk rates, being able to get on base, especially against righties, which is really his main key role. And that has still been an asset to the Cubs.
Almost the same pitch, but this one called a ball.
See, now people always say they want consistency from an umpire.
That's not consistency, is it?
Well, for me, you get 2 borderline pitches, 1-1. I'm good with that.
Yeah, but right? I was going to say batter and pitcher probably both hate that, right? Because they don't know. What are you going to call the next time? Bell will step on the bag. And the Cubs strand 1 after 3. Huge game for the Cubs tonight, and they lead 2-0.
Variety of luxury premier options that Wrigley Field has to offer, like an all-inclusive suite experience. Still suites available for this weekend set with the Cardinals. Cubs.com/premier.
1 strike on Josh Harrison. He's 0 for 1. And he pops it up on the infield. Rizzo will take it. Now, you mentioned the bullpen in pretty good shape, and that is true. However, this is the kind of night where you'd love John to work deep into this game, and the quality's been good, but the pitch count at 67, he needs a couple quick innings.
Yeah, and he's positioned to have one here with the quick out here, and first pitch swinging there.
There you go. Moran lines out, and it'll bring up Jordy Mercer.
Yeah, and then he could really be positioned well if he gets Mercer here and then has the pitcher Williams leading off the next inning. Kind of get back into the range that he's looking for in terms of his pitch per inning count.
Mercer lined to second base in the second. And he takes a strike. I said it when it happened. Do not forget what John did in the first inning. They had the bases loaded with one out. They had first and second to start the game. And he did not give up a run. Diving snag, Baez, and the throw gets past Rizzo. Mercer made the turn, but he'll hold it first. Great effort. It's a hit for Mercer. And this is how good Baez is. He gets an ovation for play didn't make.
Yeah, just spectacular effort as he tries to get up into a throwing position and just heaves this one off balance. Kind of like a quarterback trying to avoid the sack and unloading downfield. Nice to know you can take a shot like that and your first baseman is going to be agile enough to come off and knock the ball down and prevent an extra 90 feet. But Mercer reaches, means no 1-2-3 inning for Lester.
One and one on the pitcher Williams. Very late swing on a cutter to make it 1-2. Cap shaded toward right. And Williams shoots this one foul. They could play Schwarber probably in center and put Happ and Zobrist in right.
And with each swing, Zoe gets a little closer to the infield and a little closer to the right field line.
A 1-2 is high. Cubs are in the playoffs and trying to hold on in the National League Central and win the title for the third straight year. It would give them 3 days off before the division series, which starts a week from today. Williams battling him hard. Full count on Trevor Williams. Reyes on deck. So Mercer will take off with 2 outs.
That's fitting, right? The bat will extend for at least one more pitch. Nothing coming easy for John here tonight. I mean, he is in full-on battle mode. Looked like he was going to have an easy inning. Mercer gets the infield hit. Having a hard time putting away Williams. Pitch count now at 79.
Another 3-2 and another foul. Ball 4. Lester can't believe it. It looked like it was right on the outside.
Well, that's a combination of wanting the pitch, obviously, and frustrated over not being able to put Williams away. This is another one of those borderline pitch, could have gone either way. Not an egregious call.
So an 11 pitch walk. 2 on for Reyes. Infield hit in the first, a ground out to third in the second. Mention the Rockies a winner again, sweeping the Phillies in a 4-game series. 5-3 the final this afternoon. So the Rockies have a 1-game lead in the West. That's their 7th consecutive win. Oberg over Arrieta. Former Cub Wade Davis got his 42nd save. Another homer by David Dahl.
Yeah, David Dahl is on an unbelievable roll. I saw him earlier this year. Remember, it was 2 years ago when he first came to the big leagues, made a bunch of noise, then he got hurt. Had a hard time staying on the field, but they expect big things from Dahl. Starting to come to fruition.
Big cut and a foul. It's 2-1. So the Rockies, remember, they got swept in LA. Everyone wondered if that would torpedo their season, but then they went to Arizona, swept that series, came home, and swept the Phils.
Outscored the Phils 39-7 in that 4-game set. It's hard to do, to go to the Coors Field and only score 7 runs in a 4-game series.
The Rockies looking to become the first '93 expansion team to win a division title. Both they and the Marlins have never won one. Called strike 3. He rings up Reyes, and it's still 2-0 as we go to the bottom of the 4th. Cubs lead 2-0. David Bodie in the second inning, 2-run triple. The Happ, Contreras, and Lester against Trevor Williams here in the 4th. His ERA in the second half basically 1. The Cubs have scored 2 tonight. Foul strike on Happ. It's 1-1.
Solid single to center, first time up for Ian against his hometown team.
The Yankees a winner today. That's their 98th victory. If they win 2 more games, it'll be a major league first. It would be 3 100-win teams in the same league. That had never happened before. There have been 3 100-win teams in a single season, but it would be in a 2-1 league, 1 in the other. And the interesting thing is the A's have 96 wins. So there was a point where we could have had 4 100-win American League teams.
Yeah, the AL pretty top heavy this year when you consider the American League Central, Kansas City and the Sox and the Tigers all at least 30 games below 500. Baltimore 46-112 now. That's a franchise record for losses for Baltimore. How about the Yankees could win 100 games and finish 10 games out of first place.
Full count. I've got another one for you. If the Pirates win 1 more game, the NL Central Division will have 4 better than 500 clubs for the first time ever. Happ draws the leadoff walk. He's had a couple of really good nights. He was on base 4 times last night and a single and a walk here this evening.
Well, the Cubs are looking for some offensive heroes. They're looking for a spark. They're looking to get some of these guys going, including this man right here, Wilson. It's been a really rough go for him. Said it often here lately. Even if you're having a down year, you've been banged up, you've gone through a horrendous slump. All that really matters is from this night forward when you're in the postseason. These are essentially playoff games as the Cubs try to position themselves to win this division. Everything's in play. There could be an extra game Monday, wild card game Tuesday. Division series starts on Thursday.
Happ takes off, swing and a miss, throw to second's going to get him. So that's a hit and run, and Contreras unable to make contact, and Cervelli throws out Happ.
And we've been talking a lot about Cervelli's work with the bat. His throwing much improved this year. Both the Pirate catchers, Cervelli and Diaz, been really good at shutting down the running game. Busted hit and run here. Contreras comes up empty, and Joe probably putting the hit and run on there just to try to get Contreras going. Here you go.
That's a fair ball. It'll kick off the sidewall. Picked up by Reyes. Throw to second. Not in time. It's a double for Contreras.
Third extra base hit of the game for the Cubs. They've all been down the line. Zobrist doubled back in the first down the first base line. Bodie tripled into the left field corner to score 2 in the second, and now this chopper down the third base line for 2 bases. So extra base hits, but not necessarily driving the ball against Williams. Why quibble?
Not a bunting spot. Runner at second with 1 out. And John takes low, hoping to return the favor here after Williams made him throw 11 pitches and that walk in the top of the inning. It's a strike.
Seems like Williams is probably due for a little bad luck. His batting average on balls in play this year, 257, which is way below league average. And most analytics folks would tell you that's almost impossible to sustain. So when you have a batting average on balls in play that low, it's a couple of things: a lot of soft contact and some good fortune. I think Williams has had a little bit of both of those, and the ball in play gods taking a bite out of him here tonight a little bit.
Contreras will be sent around third. Here's the throw by Reyes. And he's out. What a play by Cervelli. I believe that ball hit the dirt. Cervelli was able to get it and tag Contreras for out number 2.
Well, a heck of a play by Pablo Reyes in left field as well. He's been doing it with the bat in this series. Watch how quickly he gets on this ball. Pretty aggressive send by Butter, but he's able to get over there, cut it off, so he doesn't have to do a lot of footwork to get into the throwing position. Cervelli up the line to handle that one-hop throw, cradles it in his midsection, and then gets control of it.
Yep.
Kick save on the mug of Contreras, and then applies the tag.
Now that'll go 7-2 to get Contreras. Single for Lester. And here's Bodie. Outside, ball 1.
I don't know if Wilson could have gotten there in time, but he was well within his right to go ahead and hit Cervelli, stay upright, and try to barrel him over as opposed to trying to head first slide into home plate.
I think the new maneuver is generally head first to have more maneuverability.
And it's hard when the throw's coming in from behind you from left field. If the throw's coming from right, you're coming down the line, you can kind of see the play develop and get a feel for what you need to do at home plate. The throw coming in from behind you, you're relying on the on-deck hitter to give you an indication of whether to get down, stay up, and which direction to go.
3-0 to Bodie. That was just a great play by Cervelli. I don't think a lot of catchers make that play. Didn't have much time to corral it as Bodie lines it up on 3-0 and fouls. Field that throw cleanly on a hop and then essentially block Contreras, which you can do once you have the ball. I saw Wilson do it recently.
Chris Coughlin would have gone over the top.
Right. He walked him. Second walk of the inning. Brings up Daniel Murphy.
So walk, double, single walk, and there are 2 outs. Half caught stealing in the busted hit and run, and then Reyes and Cervelli combining to get Contreras at home plate. 2 big plays by the Pirates defensively.
Hey, Cub fans, do you know what tickets you want for next season? Here's your first chance to secure those seats to your must-have games for 2019. Visit Cubs.com/deposits for all the details. We've seen 6 mound visits combined. Each team has used 3, and we're in the bottom of the 4th. So a lot of meetings have been had here in the early going.
Cubs with a lot at stake. The Pirates just trying to play for a winning season. 80 and 77. Williams looking for his 15th win.
That's in there for a hit. Lester around third. Marte's throw. Not in time, gets by. And it's 3-0. Daniel Murphy comes through.
Well, what an inning the Cub hitters are putting together. How about Big John? Butter with an aggressive send after getting one thrown out at home plate. He does not shy away. Don't let the last play influence the next. Do what you think is right. Butter says, let's go. And the big fella crosses home plate.
So a 3-0 lead. First and third for Ben Zobrist. Williams has faced a lot of traffic tonight. He has walked 3 and allowed 7 hits. That's 10 base runners. And we're only in the 4th inning. Both starters throwing a ton of pitches here early. Bell unassisted. That ball was hit hard by Zoe. They do get a run. Very eventful bottom of the 4th. It's 3-0 Cubs.
Former Bears Matt Forte, Lance Briggs, and Alex Brown with host Lawrence Holmes after the Bears try and sink the Bucks. The football after show presented by Buffalo Wild Wings on NBC Sports Chicago Plus.
Happy birthday to our buddy Kurt Morrison here at the ballpark celebrating tonight. I want to thank Herbert Ferris from Westmont, Illinois for the nice note. Marte bounces right to Bodie. Pitch, one out.
In the baseball world, Mike Schmidt celebrating a birthday today. The Hall of Famer. He's 69.
Some belated birthday wishes go out to Tom Burke and Kevin Burke. Kevin's in Bloomingdale, Illinois. Tom is rather. Kevin in Addison. Well, a walk and a stolen base his last time up. Fly to center in the first. Off the inside. And John wants a new ball. And fires on a 2-1. Late cut on a cutter. 2-2.
If John only makes it through the 5 innings tonight, he will still feel like he worked a full day with this battle. A lot of deep counts, a lot of pitches, base hit, running the bases, sliding into home, playing the whole game. Nights you go out there and it kind of comes easy. The ball comes out of your hand cleanly. You throw right to the spot. Have a good feel for all your stuff. You feel very comfortable with your approach against opposing hitters. Other nights it's a real battle. See, a big tip of the cap to John to be posting zeros. The way he's had to fight it here tonight.
Yep, right now it's all about the results. And he has kept the Bucks off the board to this point. And he's held the Pirates to 0 for 8 with runners in scoring position. And Baez will get it to Rizzo in time. As you enjoy a Miller Lite, look forward to the whole true moment later in tonight's game. Francisco Cervelli with 2 outs. You may have told this story in the past, but I thought it was worth repeating. Got a nice note from Emily Brown, who lives in Knox, Indiana. And she said, we like to tell stories, baseball stories from the past. August 22nd, 1886. I feel like you've told this story, so tell me if you do. Popped up. Story may have to wait. Rizzo has
That's a good tease. People are going to hang in. They're going to want to hear the story.
We'll tell it when we return. Bottom 5. Cubs 3. Pirates nothing.
Waiting list today to claim your spot in our lineup for season tickets. It's easy and free to register. For details, visit Cubs.com/waiting list.
So the Cubs will bat here in the bottom of the 5th. So let me tell the story from 1886. Abner Powell woke up a sleeping dog, chasing down a ball hit by Chicken Wolf.
Yep,
you know the story?
Yeah.
And you want to finish it?
The outfielder, the dog latched onto the pants of the outfielder, and the base runner circled the bases.
That is correct. Back in 1886, one of the wildest inside the park home runs ever. Thank you, Emily Brown.
And then there was the one where the ball was hit into the outfield, and it was a little, what would you call a group of pigs? A herd, a flock, a cluster?
Not quite sure. That's foul to first.
And the pig ate the ball, and the guy circled the bases. You know what that was?
What's that?
It was an inside the pork home run.
Oh! Very nice.
I apologize. The only way you can tell that joke is after the Chicken Wolf story, because it lends it a certain element of believability.
Right.
After you've heard the first story.
I believed you up until the punchline.
Because the game was wacky back in the day. We're still trying to figure things out.
Knocked down by Mercer, and the throw will beat Rizzo. So the shift took away a hit there.
It's going to be weird facing the Pirates next year with no Mercer, no Harrison. They've been fixtures there for a good while now. Mercer will be a free agent. Harrison had a club option. Has a club option on his contract, but the Pirates have told him that they will not exercise that, so he too will become a free agent.
Javi has grounded out and walked. And fouls for strike one. So that quick 5th for Lester certainly buys him another inning, maybe 2 if he can remain efficient. He's at 96 pitches through 5. Coming on is Marte, and he can't get there. Neither can Reyes, but the throw to second is way off the mark. He may have had a shot at Baez. And Javi's got a double.
If you hesitate, he will take the extra base on you every time. Second time a ball's been hit in the outfield here tonight that looked like a play was going to be made and was not. The first one was just a brain cramp by somebody. This time, it's a little indecision, and then a little hitch and go by Baez. Reyes, a couple of steps before he fires that ball back into the infield. By then, it's too late. Magic off the end of the barrel.
Schwarber with Baez at second and 1 out. Called strike. Cubs now with 8 hits. With the stingy Trevor Williams. This has been impressive work on this group. Only scuffling to score runs last night. They put up 7. 6 on the starter, Ivan Nova. And 3 so far tonight off Williams. One and 2. Dovydas Neverauskas is up for the Pirates. Back to Williams. They've got Baez caught.
So they think.
And he stays in the rundown long enough to get Schwarber to second.
Yeah, good work by Baez after a little bit of a mental miscue. The thing they really lose is the speed factor, as Schwarber does not run as well as Baez. Ryan unloaded that ball too quickly. They never really got him running hard in one direction. I like the end of that play, Javi with the hands up as if he would say, no, we're okay here. No need to bring me down.
1-5-6-1 to get Baez. And the batter is Ian Happ with 2 outs. Side that time. A reminder of the scenarios. The Cubs are in the playoffs. They will either open Thursday in the division round at home, likely against the wild card team. The 2 other scenarios are they finish tied with Milwaukee and have to play for the division title in game 163 on Monday. The winner would advance to the division round. The loser would have to play in the wild card game Tuesday. So those last 2 scenarios, obviously the Cubs would prefer to avoid. They want to go right to the second round. And a team that by Sunday will have reported to the ballpark for a game on 40 of the final 41 days of the regular season. The last thing they want is to play Monday, Tuesday, and then hopefully they win and play Thursday. You'd rather have 3 days off than just 1. So a lot of things still up in the air. But they control their own fate right now with a half-game lead in the division.
And the Cardinals have dropped 3 in a row, so right now they're on the outside.
Happ with a half swing strike 3. Cubs have stranded at least 1 in every inning. They lead the game 3-0. Chicago.com, presented by Nationwide agent Jeff Vukovich. Go to jeffvuk.com or follow him on social media. Nationwide is on your side. Jon Lester back out for the 6th inning. And Doug Glanville with us tonight with some thoughts on Javier Baez.
Yeah, when you talk about in-game adjustments, you look at Javier Baez's adjustments to secondary pitches. And earlier on, he hit the ball off the end of the bat on an off-speed pitch, and then later he adjusted to a slider. So you look at the differences on the right of the screen. You notice the off-speed pitch where he hits off the end. So he's a little bit out in front, collapses, and then breaks off the end of the bat. But on the left, you see him get down and go through the ball a little bit further. Now, he's still not behind the ball like you ideally want to be as a hitter, but he's getting just enough on it. And that's the Javier Baez that's different for this season, 2018. Doing a much better job of allowing the ball to get deep and spraying the ball around with authority as opposed to flailing and pulling off so much. And it's allowed him to really get not only hits the other way, but hit for power and extra base hits.
Thank you, Doug. 3-0 on Osuna. It's just been that kind of night for John. There is action in the Cubs bullpen. Steve Cishek is up. Strike one. It's 3-1.
Yeah, at the mercy of the count, he just has to be willing to throw the ball over the heart of the plate here. Not too much about how that cuts against his nature. And a nice job.
Zobrist makes the grab.
When you look at Lester's start, for example, the last against the White Sox, a little similar flavor here. A little trouble with the secondary pitches, particularly his curveball consistently locating. Had to rely a lot on the fastball. And somewhat inefficient when you talk about 100 pitches through basically 5 1/3. He had 102 and 5 his last outing. So he's really bent a lot, but not really broken. And the walk count was up this game versus last game. But you see the competitor and his ability to still execute the pitches when he needs.
Harrison clipped Contreras on the backswing.
You know, look at the numbers here. The hits were up against the White Sox, but remarkably 102 pitches in 5 innings and didn't walk a single batter. The walk count was up today.
That's deep, but it looks to be playable for Happ.
You know, the other thing to consider is a lot of foul balls. Deep counts, 3-1, 3-2 pitches, a lot of foul balls. We saw quite a few against the White Sox. So he's throwing a lot of extra pitches, not quite putting away like he'd like. But as you mentioned, not necessarily having his best stuff location-wise, but still able to, so far, toss this shutout, which shows how he's been able to execute in a timely fashion.
Moran with 2 outs. He has doubled and lined to center. And the first pitch is in there. 0-1. Cubs needed John to be at his best tonight against Trevor Williams. He's been the better pitcher. One and two. Mercer on deck. 2 outs, nobody on. Here it comes. It's low and outside.
Moran, part of the package the Pirates received from the Astros in the Garrett Cole deal. He's a former first-round pick of the Marlins out of the University of North Carolina. Originally from the Northeast, New Rochelle, New York.
Couple of bounces to Murphy. Pirates go 1, 2, 3. 7 straight now retired by Lester. 3-0 Cubs.
Over 400 locations and 6,300 top doctors. Book your same-day appointment at advocatehealth.com.
Trevor Williams done after 5 innings. Gave up 3 runs on 8 hits. And it will be the Pirates bullpen the rest of the night. Dovydas Neverauskas.
25-year-old right-hander from Lithuania. Pitched to an 8.25 ERA this year, 22 appearances at the big league level, much better down at AAA. Made his big league debut last year, pitched 24 times for the Buccos in 2017, posting a .391 earned run average last year. Had a good arm. Fastball in the mid to upper 90s.
Debuted against the Cubs last year on April 24th.
Cut it, and he's got a good curveball.
Tuesday night, 2 scoreless innings here, and the Pirates 6-0 win. In the dirt for ball 2. Signed back in 2009 with the Pirates. Bounce to third. Moran was playing in. Goes 5-3. Tommy LaStella will hit for Lester. What a performance by Big John. 6 innings, 3 hits, no runs.
Yeah, you would have gotten long odds that John Lester would have made it through 6 innings here tonight as he was going along in the second or third. Just a testament to the sheer willpower of John Lester to fight through the way he did here tonight. Neverauskas' dad, Vermidis, promotes baseball to Lithuanian children. That's the hook. That's where Dovydis got interested. He attended Major League baseball camps in Italy in 2008 and 9. He's the first player to be signed directly out of the country of Lithuania. There's another fella, Joe Zapustas, who was raised in Boston. He was born in Lithuania, but he was raised in Boston and he became a big leaguer. Played a couple games for the Philadelphia A's in the 30s.
Neverauskas not only pitched but played third base as a youngster. That one swatted out into the alleyway. And Listella will make the turn. He's busting it hard to second, and he is safe on a close play. Pinch double for Listella.
Hit number 9 for the Cubs.
Bodie has had a big night at the plate, and he takes a strike. He's fouled. It's 0-2. Just like we promised, time for the Miller Lite Hold True moment. This put the Cubs on the board with a couple of runs on a triple. Came with 2 outs in the second. Chased one in the dirt. And Cervelli will fire to Bell to complete the play. Warren Neverauskas, he is the first pitcher to get to the majors out of the MLB European Academy.
Did you find Lithuania on a map?
I have not.
Oh, there it is. It's just below Latvia. Northeast of Poland.
Yeah, I was going to say I generally know where it is, but
I don't. My map skills are not good. If you're ever on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and you need a geography, phone a friend.
Don't call
guy.
you.
No.
Okay. One and one on Daniel Murphy. He plated the Cubs' third run with a single in the fourth. Lifted foul out of play off of third. Ground ball right to Harrison. And we will head off to the 7th inning. Porter Moser, Loyola men's basketball coach, will join us. As we get to the 7th inning, and it will be the bullpen's turn. Steve Cishek will make his 77th appearance.
He's been very dependable. 2.25 ERA for Cishek through the first 76, 68 innings, just 44 hits allowed, 75 punch-outs. He's walked 28. This is his 3rd appearance in this series. Last night, worked in game 1.
By far a career high in games, number 77, previously 69 appearances. And Jordy Mercer takes a strike. Porter Moser's with us here, the Loyola basketball coach who led the team to a Final Four appearance. And how's it going? Summer's almost over, about ready to kick it off again.
It is. It's we start officially Saturday, but it's been a great hectic summer. It's been unbelievably busy, but it's been a great busy, and we're ready to get going again Saturday.
Now with the burden of expectation, right?
Well, it's like a little Joe Madden, embrace the target, right?
Absolutely.
Well, strike 3. So 1 away. Adam Frazier was going to bat. It will not be Frazier. Instead, it'll be Kevin Kramer. And in the pitcher's spot. So what is the message to the group going into 2018-19?
Well, our whole thing this summer was about getting better. You know, just no entitlement and then getting better. We've been obsessed with getting our culture back and not sitting back. And we were always chasing at Loyola, trying to chase being, you know, a championship, chase being relevant, and we want to keep chasing. And we feel we have so much more to go as a program, but our whole mentality was this summer it's got to all be about getting better.
How many kids did you lose?
I lost 3 really good seniors. Dante Ingram from Chicago Simeon. I lost Ben Richardson and Andre Jackson. 3 really good seniors, but we got a lot of really good pieces back, and we have a lot of guys ready to step up, and that were part of our culture. We got some really good freshmen, so I like our group. Even though we lose 3 really good ones, I think we have the culture and some guys to really be able to step up.
A high fly out into left. This is Schwarber onto the warning track. He hauls it in. 2 outs.
You know, guys, this is like my 4th or 5th time up here, and every time I'm up here, I've had like 7 pitch innings.
Is that right?
And I can't talk about the Loyola Ramblers. So it's going quick again. It's just good because it's quick outs, but It's
Yeah, we would be a little concerned if we were at the bottom of the inning and the innings were going so quickly.
That's right. That's right.
There's Reyes with 2 outs. Yeah, you know, you ride that wave. Certainly fans do. But it's about the day-to-day grind, right? And that's the other part of the message.
Without a doubt. And what was so great was how Chicago embraced us. The coolest thing is just walking around here at Wrigley Field, walking around Chicago. You know, everyone told me, hey, you can't do it at Loyola. It's a pro town. You know what? It's a sports town. And they love their sports. They love hardworking teams. And I just was so appreciative of Chicago, of how much they embraced our Loyola Rambler team. And that's what's been a really cool part of this journey.
Well, the story is so good, too, right? It's kind of the little engine that could kind of story that plays well everywhere. And, you know, everybody jumped on board.
Right. And it helped, you know, everyone asks me about leadership. I'm saying, hey, the best thing about being a leader is employ a 98-year-old nun. You really can get going if you have that tactic.
One and 2 on Pablo Reyes. Cubs lead 3-0, 7th inning.
Oh.
2 and 2.
Non-conference schedule, any highlights?
Yeah, you know, we have a rematch of our Sweet 16 game against Nevada. They're going to be picked in the top 5, and we don't at Loyola. We don't get teams.
Shot caught by Happ. All right, coach, here we go. 7th inning stretch brought to you by St. Xavier University. Reporter Moser.
Tonight's guest conductor for Take Me Out to the Ball Game, Loyola University men's basketball coach Porter Moser.
What's up, Chicago? Cubs fans, Loyola Ramblers, let's do this. Gary, you ready? A 1, a 2, a 3. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if I ever get back. Oh, it's root for the. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game. Let's go,
Opportunity to purchase tickets for potential postseason games at Wrigley Field. Go to Cubs.com/postseason to register and learn more about this postseason ticket purchase opportunity. This is Clay Holmes, a right-hander for the Pirates in the 7th.
A rookie right-hander who's appeared in just 9 big league games, so not a big sample. 20 in the 3rd innings, an ERA just under 8. Walks have been an issue, and he spikes that first fastball.
Cubs lead 3-0. Let's see.
Boom, boom, boom.
2 for 1. $38,415 tonight, putting the Cubs up over 3 million in attendance for the 3rd consecutive year. And the 11th time in the history of the Cubs at Wrigley Field. Three and one on Zobrist.
Has made 3 starts for the Pirates. 6 appearances coming out of the pen. Pitched 6 scoreless against Milwaukee back on July 14th.
It's Josh Harrison for out number 1.
With 97 batted in this year. Something to keep an eye on over the weekend, his pursuit of 100.
StatCast AI powered by AWS. Here's a 1-0 on Anthony. It's in there on the outside. Alabama native Clay Holmes golfed down the right field line, coming over Osuna, and he will grab it.
We get ready for an October run with the Cubs playoff preview show presented by Elgin Hyundai. Watch as David DeJesus and host Dave Kaplan break down the Cubs postseason push Monday 7:30 on NBC Sports Chicago.
NL RBI leader. That's with 2 outs. Another of the many power forwards in the NL Central coming out of various bullpens like the Reds, the Pirates. 6'5", 230. Carl Edwards Jr. is up in the Cubs bullpen.
Yeah, he was a basketball player in high school. He was also the valedictorian in his senior year. I guess by definition it would have to be your senior year to be the valedictorian.
He strikes out Baez. And we will go to the 8th. 3-0 Cubs.
report. C.J. Edwards taking over here in the 8th as the Cubs hold on to a 3-0 lead. Steve Cishek, a very clean 1-2-3 inning. And in talking to a number of these relievers right now, they say the thing that they're battling with the most is saving bullets and yet at the same time balancing how they stay sharp. And we've seen a couple of these guys who have been automatic, whether it's C.J. Edwards guys, whether it is Steve Cishek. We think about Jesse Chavez and all of them saying that that's been the most difficult part about trying to tail back here in the late weeks and heading into the postseason, wanting to be at their best and finding their rhythm. So we'll see if C.J. Edwards here has a better outing tonight.
Thanks, Kelly. Facing 2-3-4, starting with Marte, and the fastball is high for ball 1.
Yeah, Joe continues to emphasize how important Carl Edwards Jr. is to this bullpen as we head towards the postseason. And it's been a season of fits and starts. Overall, the numbers are really good for Edwards, but he gets into these funks where command just kind of goes away. That was the case last night. He struck out the first man he faced in back-to-back walks, and I think at some point Joe's going to be put into a position where he's just going to have to trust him, leave him out there, and see if he can get through. Because he doesn't give up a lot of hits. He doesn't give up a whole lot of slugging. It might be just one of those things where you kind of run him out there, hold your breath, close one eye, and live with a couple walks and maybe a wild pitch, and just hope that he can post a 0.
The stuff is not the same, but Carlos Marmol, when he was a Cubs closer, was similar. As he walks Marte.
Yeah, and that's not going to help the lead walk. And last night, you know, he walked a couple, but it wasn't all over the place like he was just now. And he is some other times he was around the zone. Actually, I thought he got squeezed a little bit in the second walk. And Anthony right now in there with a little pep talk.
Now, having said all that, he's going to have to throw strikes here soon, because Bell and Cervelli are probably the two best eyes in this lineup. And they generally are going to make you throw strikes.
And I would think Bell would be taking all the way here.
Batting left-handed. And close, didn't get it. Well, went around. I'm surprised he even thought about it.
Yeah. You know, especially down 3. If it's a 1-run game, even a 2-run game, you know, he's got power. You don't need to be passive, but down 3 with a guy having a hard time finding the zone, I thought he'd take until he got a strike there.
Maybe that'll unlock things. Fouled away. 3 pitches in a very similar spot, and it's 1-2 to Bell. Chavez, who worked a couple innings last night, and the lefty De La Rosa. Ground ball gets into left. Took kind of a squirrely hop. I think it might have gone over the glove of Bodie. That could have been 2. Instead, the Pirates have 2 on with nobody out. David will be charged with an error. Yeah, bounced over his glove.
Yeah, tough hop.
Typically, errors like that are made when the ball bounces below your glove. So without a hit, they have 2 on, nobody out. Strike to Cervelli.
Not so much last night. In the 2 previous appearances for Edwards, he had a real nice curveball.
See if they can turn 2, 6, 4, 3. Double play. 2 down. Oh, is that huge?
Baez gets that ball to Murphy in good shape. He's able to make the turn on Cervelli coming down the line. Thing of beauty.
So Marte's at third with 2 outs. Osuna takes high. Fly ball to center. Ian Happ makes the catch. And Edwards works around the walk and the error. Still 3-0 in the 8th.
Plan your 2019 spring travel to Sloan Park in Mesa, Arizona. VIP packages are on sale now and include game tickets, hotel accommodations, a rental car, Cubs swag, and a private meet and greet with Cub players and personnel. For more information, visit Cubs.com/destinations.
Swing and a miss by Kyle Schwarber. Clay Holmes still working. He dealt to 1-2-3 7th. Twice tonight the Pirates have had 2 on with nobody out and have failed to score. In the first against John Lester, in the 8th versus Carl Edwards Jr.
There may be a Pedro Strop sighting this weekend. He's getting close.
That would be great. Hefty home run leaders. Baez leading the way by a big margin with 34. 3-2 on Schwarber.
This big right-hander reminds me a little bit of Scott Erickson out there on the bump.
that's a good call.
Got the hair, got the sinker. Similar frame.
Bell gets it to Holmes, 3-1. Boy, this would be a big split after dropping the first 2 games of this series and scoring just 1 run combined on a Cole Hamels home run.
Yeah, just get that mojo back here in their home ballpark. The Cubs, prior to last night, had scored, I believe, 12 runs in their previous 7 home games, maybe 8, whatever it was bleak.
Tomorrow afternoon, it'll be Adam Wainwright against Kyle Hendricks. And what could be Adam Wainwright's final, at least regular season start with St. Louis. Our Verizon projected starters this weekend: Michaelis Hamels on Saturday, Flaherty, Montgomery on Sunday. Both teams have a lot to play for. A win tonight, and the Cubs would get their magic number down to 3 in the Central.
Yeah, I was surprised when Wainwright made it all the way back. I didn't know he was going to pitch again this year. He's made 3 starts since coming off the disabled list. Mixed bag, one real good one against the Dodgers. He has had a lot of success in this ballpark over the years.
It's not technically a must-win game for the Cardinals, but it's pretty darn close. That ball shot into center, and Happ is on for the 3rd time tonight and the 7th time over the last 2 days. And Terrence Gore will come in to pinch run for him, which he did last night in the 10th and eventually scored the game-ending run.
You know you're fast when you're called on to pinch run for a guy like Happ, because Happ can really go. But Goris, he's something else, man. He is elite level. Last night he did not steal second base. As the at-bat progressed, Mike Freeman was batting, and it just didn't look like he was comfortable getting a jump. And, Joe didn't want to put a hit and run play on because the pitcher wasn't really in the zone, so he went ahead and had Freeman put a bunt down.
He takes off, and he makes it. The biggest question always seems to be, is he going to be able to hold the bag because he's so fast?
Yeah, and he slides late. I mean, he carries so much speed into the bag. This is a catcher's nightmare, having to deal with a guy like Terrence Gore. He goes 0 to 60. Like, boom.
Watch how he sticks the landing. 1-0 on Contreras. Bounce to third. Foul. Call made by Sam Holbrook. That is not reviewable. It was close.
You know what Gore is? He's the Kerry Strug of base running. You know, like in the gymnasts, how they're going so fast, and they do the tumbling routine, and they have to boom stick the landing.
Yep. Is that Atlanta '96?
That sounds right. She did it on like a broken leg, or a damaged leg anyway.
And right in his grill.
Harrison keeping a watchful eye on Gore out at second base, who has not yet measured a very aggressive lead during this sequence. Let's see if he's thinking about swiping third here.
He goes. And the ball is bounced to Harrison. And Gore holds at third. I thought he might do it. And Harrison was a little flat-footed. I'm surprised he didn't.
Yeah, he's kind of looking at Butter as if to say probably should have gone for it. I think a little more aggressive turn of third base here would have forced Harrison to at least look him back, and then maybe had Harrison not, he might have been able to streak home on the throw to first.
Jason Hayward. That's for Edwards.
Hayward, the offensive star in the ball game last night. Home run, drove in 3. Big home run, came into the bottom of the first after the Pirates had taken a 1-0 lead. He had a 2-run shot in the bottom of the very first inning to left center.
Out of the glove of Cervelli. And it's 2-1. Swing and a miss. It's 2-2. I think it'll be Jesse Chavez in the ninth. Right now it would be a save situation. Will be with a 3-0 lead as Hayward strikes out. Gore stranded at third. 3 outs to go. We'll be back.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. MLB At Bat is your #1 app to follow the Cubs postseason push. Get Cubs home screen icons and features such as live radio broadcasts, the MLB.TV Game of the Day, pitch tracking, in-game highlights, stats, news, and more. Download MLB At Bat today.
Gore left, Almora center, Hayward right, and Ben Zobrist now playing second. Jesse Chavez pitching to Josh Harrison, who chops one to third. Fair ball. Away. Nice play, David Bodie.
Makes that play well, doesn't he? A charge play.
Yeah, that might be his best play in terms of, you got guys who are good going right, left. He's really good coming in.
See that ball hit the dirt. You always want to be moving forward. Jesse, he's got a 1.29 ERA with the Cubs. His whip, 0.86. Spectacular. Overall, the ERA, 2.66. This is his 30th appearance in a Cub uniform, matching the 30 he made with the Rangers prior to the trade. 2 innings, 33 pitches in the ball game last night. But good to go again here tonight.
One and two on Moran. This is the rubber game of the season series, tied at 9 games apiece. Pirates did the Cubs a favor by winning 12 of the 19 against the Brewers. Fouled away.
Pirates also did the Cubs a favor by not catching a fly ball center field in the second inning, and that created an opening which the Cubs pushed across 2 runs. Pushed 2 runs across home plate on Trevor Williams, who has been the best pitcher in baseball in the second half of the season.
A swing by Moran, according to Sam Holbrook. 38,000 unpaid umpires disagreed. Fantasy camps in the winter, everybody wants to play. They want to bat, play shortstop. An umpire fantasy camp.
It's a good idea.
Hire a ringer for a manager, just will not let up.
You get to run them.
Yeah. How fun would that be? Number 3-2. He got him. 2 down.
Two-seam fastball across the top of the strike zone.
Jordy Mercer with 2 outs. Swing and a miss. Jesse's major league debut came in 2008 with the Pirates against the Cubs. Base hit to left. Second hit of the night for Mercer. and Frazier will be announced as the pinch hitter. And if Frazier gets on, it'll be Corey Dickerson, who's in the on-deck circle for Reyes. And he represents the tying run. Strike one.
One thing about Jesse Chavez, nothing scares him out of the strike zone. Gives up a couple of knocks. He whacks one off the wall. He stays on the attack. About everything between 92 and 94 miles per hour. A little sinker, a little cutter.
Just in case Kinsler and De La Rosa are up 2-1. So Chavez doesn't get Frazier. Joe might go to the left-hander against Dickerson. On a bounce, it's Rizzo. He'll fire to second. Baez covering. Cubs win. Cubs win 3-0 the final. They've got a 1-game lead in the National League Central with 3 games to play.
Well, a nice turn after dropping the first 2 games of this series and managing to score just 1 run. The crazy one last night where they let a 6-1 lead get away but come back and win it in walk-off fashion. And then tonight against Trevor Williams, who's been awfully good. They get the early lead. John Lester, my goodness, talk about resourceful, a guy who did not have his command for much of the night, hangs in there and gives the Cubs 6 scoreless innings. That was most impressive.
Toast of the game is presented by Binny's Beverage Depot. It is John Lester, Binny's, who's the official champagne provider of the Chicago Cubs.
It's win number 18 for John. He chipped in with the bat as well. Base hit, scored a run. You see him here playing the whole game. High marks for the beautiful slide as well.
So here come the Cardinals for a big weekend to wrap up the regular season. Cubs are trying to win the division. The Cardinals are trying to find their way into the wild card game. And Kelly is on the field. It is our On the Diamond interview presented by James and Sons Fine Jewelers.
Thanks a lot. Well, David, you gave the team the early lead with that triple there in the second. Describe your approach against a guy like Trevor Williams, who you haven't faced before.
Yeah, he's a 4-pitch guy. I got to see everything early. He showed me all. He showed me the slider, showed me the changeup, showed me the fastball. So I was 2 strikes. I fouled up the fastball. I was like, he might go soft here. Just see it up.
So tell me what kind of tone John Lester sets in a game like tonight where he battles like he did on the mound, and then he does it all even at the plate, too.
I mean, yeah, he had 85 pitches through 4, and he just battled and competed. I mean, he was when we went into the 6th, and he wanted to keep going out there. I mean, that's John there, right? He just wants the ball. He wants it there, and he takes pride in his hitting too. He's had great at bats all year. We ended up scoring that run, the insurance run there, and I mean, he's just a great competitor.
So what kind of momentum now does this give you heading into the final 3 games of the season with that 1-game lead in the division?
Yeah, we'll go out there and get it done.
I knew you were going to do that to me, but we spoke before the game and you said no pressure. I'm just having fun. I'm enjoying this. Where do you find that composure? Because this is new to you, buddy.
I mean, yeah, it's who I am. That's just what I do. I love the moments. I love these fans here, 40,000 every night. I mean, can't get any better.
Hey, go enjoy the win. We appreciate it, David Bodie. Guys, there you go. Big night, 1 for 2, a couple RBIs as the Cubs take a big 3-0 win over the Pirates here.
Kelly, thank you. David gets a $500 gift card from James and Sons Fine Jewelers. And let's update the Corona standings. It's a 1-game lead. The Cubs host the Cardinals for 3. Milwaukee hosts Detroit. Should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I can't count on getting a lot of help from the Tigers. It would be nice if they steal at least 1 game in that series. As we mentioned during the game, the Cardinals right now on the outside looking in, so they're going to be, for what it's worth, really hungry this weekend. I don't know if that means anything, but they'll be ready to play.
So for JD, Kelly, Doug, and our entire NBC Sports Chicago crew here at Wrigley Field, Len Casper with your final score. Cubs 3, Pirates nothing. We're back with you for this final game of the regular season, 1:30 for our pregame coverage as the Cubs host the Cardinals. Division title possibly at stake. Coming up next, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois post-game live.